In this video, I'm gonna unbox the Anycubic P1. Now that P stands for professional, the 1 being the first in the series. So yes, this is the very first professional series that Anycubic has come out with. They're marketing this more towards dentals. However, I think it's really gonna be a printer that's also very usable in the hobbyist space. So I'm gonna just unbox it here, give you my first opinions about the hardware and kind of the make of it, as well as clear up some stuff about some of the accessories you can get as options with this printer. But before I unbox this printer, let's talk about some of the accessories that you can buy as an option to this printer, because if you buy just this printer, the stuff right here doesn't come with it. This costs a little bit extra money. And unfortunately, this stuff is actually what's shown in the marketing material more than what comes stock. So let's talk about this first real quick. So the first thing you've got right here in a box, if you wish to spend a little extra money, is this build plate right here with the perforated build plate. There's a bunch of little holes in it. Now this, you are only gonna wanna buy this if you specifically plan on printing very, very, very thick resin. They have some like rubber-like resins that they're sending me. I haven't received it yet. That is kind of more what this is for, just because it's so thick, these holes alleviate the pressure so it can actually achieve the thicknesses. So unless you plan on doing something like that one, this build plate isn't for you. The next one here is this very fancy vat and build plate system. This is the one you see in all the marketing material. It's funny how light this is. This weighs nothing, and this guy's pretty chunky and heavy. This one's full aluminum, and this one right here is made out of basically a high quality steel, so it won't rust. It's non-magnetic, but it is like a kind of steel you'd use in silverware. It's a very high quality steel. Kudos for them on that. Same with the build plate that's in there, by the way. So now we've got this weird vat system here, which we've all seen, and I'm sure some of you have kind of made fun of. But to be honest, if you don't know why this could be kind of fun or kind of cool, it probably is that it's not for you. But if you look at this and you think, oh, it's probably for you, and you're the person who's interested in buying it. For someone like me, I actually look at this and I go, oh, that could be actually pretty helpful. For dentists, it's helpful because they have resins they can't mix due to some of these resins being used in dental applications. For me, I test a lot of resins and I do a lot of calibration, so to be able to do 2 at once is really cool. Also, I like to print models with lots of colors because I suck at painting and I think it's kind of fun. So being able to print 2 different colors at the same time is actually really cool. I've seen some complaints about people saying, well, the lift speeds, you can't independently do lift speeds because this build plate goes up and down to the same lift height and lift distance and speed. It doesn't matter which resin you have in here. But ultimately, I kind of calibrate all my resins at the same speed anyway, regardless of what resin or what printer I'm using, unless it's like a specialty resin. I kind of do them all at the same time anyway, so for me, it's not an issue at all. And it can do different exposure times for the different sides. So at least you can dial each one of them in and calibrate them independently, which is actually pretty cool. All right, so let's get the actual unboxing of the printer itself. Let's get it open. Little pro tip when you're unboxing these, they're kind of designed to be slid out like this. And here we have in its beauty, I will say this like black and white kind of tone, I'm digging it. I think this is actually a very beautiful printer. But how it looks is kind of only part of the thing. Let's see just kind of how the build quality is. First thing, I like this handle, nice aluminum handle, so that's pretty good. The base right here is plastic. So overall, this printer is actually not very heavy. If you were to, it's much heavier than like the M5 series, the M5S. So that is better, but still ultimately not a very heavy printer. Let's get this guy out. I think this is where we're gonna find the build plate and crap. And there we go. And there's that solid build plate I was talking about earlier. Now I'd say the biggest flaw with maybe like the M7 and M5 series was the build plate wasn't always exactly flat from the factory. Part of that's just the aluminum would kind of warp a little bit over time. A very small amount of warping can ultimately be a big issue when it comes to resin 3D printing, especially when you're trying to get those bottom layers to stick. This being this really high quality steel, very flat, that's the thing of the past. Probably one of the best things about this printer is actually going to be this steel build plate. It does have some weight to it though, I'll tell you that. This thing is it's a bit chunky. Moving in, we've got the vat system here. I think I have to plug it in order to raise this up to get the vat out. And then we're gonna get some interesting stuff about the screen and the build arm. So let me get that up and kind of see from there. For that, let's see what's in the goodie bag, the goodie box. All right. We've got spatula, gloves, and the little filters, pretty common. A little manual, and a little toolkit with some wipes and the little plastic spatula thingy. And then a power cable. Not a whole lot in accessories, which is fine. This printer is actually coming in at a pretty good price considering the more steel and stuff like that used in it. So I'm okay. I'm honestly be okay if they even disregarded some of this stuff as well. Bring the cost down a little bit more. But let's plug it in and see. As far as the plug goes, it doesn't require a power brick. It's just going to be the plug. The power brick is built into the system. Something I'm seeing more and more common, and something that I absolutely love. There's also a power button right here on the side. So after you plug it in, you will have to hit the power button to turn it on. Nice and convenient up here, right up there. As far as the menu goes, let's see. It looks like we have to pick our English. All right, it's going to do some stuff. And we'll let it raise up that build arm right there. Wrapped up in some tape to keep the latch. It's got a nice little latch system. I do like the latch system over the screw. Nothing to kind of maybe fall off, fall into your vat. Let's see there. That's a nice latch system. Nice and sturdy. Good build arm. The latch is aluminum covered in plastic. All right, now let's look at this vat system right here. I like the wings over pretty much anything else because you can't even close this with those open, so you're not going to accidentally forget to lock in the vat before you start a print. The vat is pretty basic. I do like it's kind of the more polished aluminum, much easier to clean than like the stuff with a little texture on it. I kind of wish they didn't paint them because sometimes the paint over a long time can chip off, and I'd prefer if it was just plain aluminum. It would be better in my opinion. We're back down to NFEP, not the ACF. I'm happy to see that. And we've got a little notches right here to put the build plate so it can drip. I prefer if it was on the right or left versus the front, but maybe something they can change in future versions. You also see here in the back, there's lots of pins right here. These are the pins to control the heater. So as a built-in vat heater, the thing about the M7 series is the vat heater didn't get very hot at all, like 22. And this thing gets up really hot. I don't remember exactly. I think we'll put it up on the screen after I confirm it, but I believe it's in like the high 40 Celsius, like very, very hot. Hotter than you would probably ever want it. Most resins we're going to be using not in the dental industry are going to really prefer to be under 30 degrees Celsius, somewhere between 24 and 28 degrees Celsius, which this vat can definitely do no problem. Now, the next big innovation we're going to see here, at least in the consumer grade, is the LCD's got this texture to it. This texture is kind of like a golf ball texture. What that's doing is, if you don't know, when the print pulls from the release film will it has to bend with it. That's why it's not glass, it's plastic, so it can bend and release easier. Well, you get a bit of a suction cup between the bottom of the release film and the LCD. It's two surfaces that don't want to peel apart. By putting that texture down there, that kind of golf ball texture on the LCD, that is going to allow air to get in there. Basically, suction cups are not going to happen. It's going to greatly reduce the peeling force at a cost. The cost is where this is going to add a little extra thickness. And so the further away you are from the LCD is basically perfect resolution. The further you get away from it, the slightly more out of focus you get. This adds a little bit of thickness, so there's going to be a slight out of focus. Are you going to notice it? Hard to tell till I start using the printer and get some prints to see how much of an impact does that really make. The next thing, of course, is this golf ball texture will alter the light behavior a little bit as it passes through it. So will this golf ball texture kind of imprint itself on the print? The answer is absolutely yes, it's going to. There's no way it can't. The real question is it noticeable under anything except for like highly zoomed in, microscope type of imagery? Again, we'll also put that to the test in the full review. A couple of things I really like to see in here is the ball screw. We got a full ball screw in there with 2 linear rails. This is not a really huge printer, so having those linear rails in there with the ball screw for something of this size is going to give us more than we need as far as structural integrity. Again, like this thing is kind of designed to do some dental resins, which can be incredibly thick. So if we can handle those just fine, it can pretty much handle anything we're going to be throwing at it from the consumer world more than just fine. We got a camera right here, just kind of built in with the 2 LEDs on it. Great to have a camera with some lights in it. I know some of these cameras have shipped without lights in them and they're basically useless. We'll put that camera to the test as well and just see how good is the imagery of it. Is it useful, or is it like some of the other ones where it's kind of like, it's there, but I'll probably never use it because the image quality is so terrible. As far as the hood, I'm actually really, really happy to see that this hood is nice and firm. It's not going to fall down or flop around or anything like that one. I have full control all the way down to the bottom. So even if I go all the way there, it's not going to close on itself. I can go almost close and it's still not enough to even make it fall down. So it's got some really good bearings in there. I do like that. We've got a pretty well sealed up back plate on here, protecting some of the components from resin splashes. Also a nice thing to see. On the back of it, pretty standard these days. You got a little thing here you can put up a vent towards and kind of suck up some of the air and, push it outside for safety. Definitely best to have some safety. Everything else here is just kind of vent holes to, well, the computer and the components down there and the lighting engine's got to breathe. They run pretty hot. So if you're putting these machines in a really hot environment, they may not last as long. So good to keep your printer chassis cooler. Up here in the actual printing area, nice and warm. That's going to keep your printer lasting a long time. There's also this easy access panel here on the back. So if you need to get to anything internally, there's just one screw, it pops up. Again, good innovation on here to enable to just make these things a little bit easier to work with. Because once we send them to our home, it's not like we can send them back to China to be worked on. Ultimately, we're the tech who's going to have to fix these things if anything goes wrong. Well, quick, let's just look at the bottom, see what's going on here. You got nice little handle grip right here. It makes it easy to move. As far as the feet, they're non-adjustable feet. So if you end up having a table that's not very level, not that Resin 3D printers need to be perfectly level, but if you need to level it, you're not going to be doing that with the feet. Maybe another thing that they could do, some extra innovation, is just make it so that 3 of the feet can move, just so you can make sure this thing's nice and level. I like what some of the other printers do where they've got the little built-in bubble level on it with some adjustable feet just to help to make sure it's pretty good sitting on your table. Next thing we have here is the USB, which is on the front right. The USB installed will be kind of sticking out, so if you want to stack these things real close to each other, you're going to have to kind of stagger them a little bit if you're going to be using the USB and not sending prints over Wi-Fi. Again, it would be better if this thing stuck out towards you instead of off to the side. However, I'm at least happy it's not here in the back, as I've seen in so many printers. However, ultimately, what I'm going to say right here is I'm actually pretty excited about this printer. Overall, I would say build quality, size, just the way the hood opens, is looking pretty good. The few things I'm worried about right now, and we'll see in the video, I guess I don't need to do the full review, is how far back this hood extends from behind it. Some printers have been designed so the hood, even though it may not be as nice and stiff as this one's pretty well balanced. They do make it so that way when the hood goes back, you don't need as much room behind the printer. At 90 degrees, it's sticking out about 5 inches. If I go to the biggest apex it has, we're looking at close to 8 inches. So this thing can really stick out quite a bit. Just keep that in mind, your desk space, as you're ordering this printer. Now, the next thing I'm gonna have to test in this printer, and probably the only thing that makes me just kind of scratch my head a little bit about this one, and again, I'm gonna see if it's gonna be an issue or not, is this free floating LCD. This LCD is free floating, which means it's kind of on springs. They do that for some of the, because there's sensors built in and some of the assisted leveling and auto leveling features. But personally, I would prefer if it was just built very, very solid, that had no free floating LCD, or like some printers, the free floating build plate system that is so common in most printers today. I just want the printer to be solid, because if you don't know this, the more solid these surfaces are, these two, the higher quality of the printer, because the higher accuracy you can get on the Z layer thickness. And the layer thickness being accurate is one of the most important things in Resin 3D printing. So I do find it somewhat silly that they did go with this free floating LCD. However, they did put some intelligent stuff in this printer where it's supposed to detect basically when the printer has released some of that pressure built in, meaning this build plate has kind of moved back up to the position it's supposed to be in before it starts curing the layer. So we'll have to put that to the test to see if we can do that one. At least, I will say that one, at least there is some intelligence in this thing that understands that it has a free floating LCD, unlike some of the other ones with the free floating build plate where the printer actually has no idea where the build plate actually is. But ultimately, in the full review, I'll put this free floating LCD to the test to see if that smart technology that detects when it's done moving works as advertised or not. So I've done a few prints on the Anycubic P1. At first, I just want to say everything turned out really, really well. No failures, no issues with the build plate. The build plate leveling system was a little bit awkward at first, but I think it dialed in pretty well. I'll do a more in-depth review of that one in the video to come. I printed these minis, my little HD cube right here, which I'll show some pictures of, as well as my boxes of calibration. Anyway, let's look at the photos and see kind of how these turned out. So right here we have boxes of calibration. What I really wanted to see here is, will that golf ball texture appear on anything? And this texture right here on these walls is nothing I haven't seen before on NFEP. So I'm actually seeing no anomalies, nothing whatsoever. This looks very, very clean. I'm seeing very consistent layer thicknesses across the board. Even the raft right here, you can see the top is very, very shiny. Looking very, very good. The pillars right here, same thing. I really like how just usually between these layers, it's hard to see because it does get a little bit blurry. There's like a little bit of a jagged and a bump. These things are smooth on the side. So I am actually really impressed with this quality. If I move to the next photo here, this is where I do have a texture, but let me explain this texture right here. This little pitting texture I get actually kind of often. It depends on how you orientate the surface to the release film. So this one was oriented in a way where this surface was printed in the long way of the release film, so there was a big gap. And that's where I see this texture. I've seen this texture on every single printer I've ever printed on, depending on how I orientate it. And I'll show you in other orientations, that texture does not exist. So that's not a fault of the printer. It's more of a fault of the way the release film works in additive manufacturing. But ultimately, the resin did pretty good. It's not the most accurate resin I've ever used. For the full review, I will use more accurate resin to get just some better photos and just really see what this machine is capable of. But ultimately, it did pretty good. Up here, it printed all the pins. It printed these very, very thin sheets. But the cube's kind of fused. The hole's kind of fused. These little ribs right here kind of fused. And ultimately, it's good. You know, this triangle kind of fused. It's good, but it's not the best. Let's go to the next photo. Now in here, you see the texture's gone, that pitting. This is the exact same print, printed the exact same, it's just the other side of it. So again, that pitting is normal, it's common, I see it all the time, and it has to do with the orientation. You see here, it's gone. This is the regular hex pattern I expect to see when this surface is on a 45 degrees of the pixels. So it looks great, turned out fantastic. Again, nothing with that golf ball texture being imprinted in the print here. The resin, a little bit bloomy on the words that stick out, but on the words that go indented, I'm actually really impressed. Even with these ones that are absolutely tiny, I can read them just fine. I can read the entire alphabet, and these are small. Like, I cannot see them with my naked eye. It is impossible for me to see that looking at it. This is a very zoomed in picture, so you're seeing any flaw this printer could ever do right now. And it came out actually, I'm quite impressed with it, especially with the resin that I think is okay. Definitely a resin that's good enough for minis, but for like this type of macro photography, again, I'll pick a better resin. Kind of the same picture before where you just really see how smooth those are. Getting really good layer consistencies. There's one thing I notice up here where it kind of goes up a little bit. This is when the printer has to print a larger cross section because it has to print the entire top of the boxes of calibration. I have seen this before. It is somewhat common, but I'm going to keep a closer eye on it when I do the full review to see if maybe that moving LCD is making it slightly worse. I'll do more comparisons later on and see if that's anything that's really a concern or if it's about average what I see with other printers. Here we are with my little warrior. I did support this in Lychee Slicer and exported it as a .stl and printed it and just sliced it using the Anycubic Slicer. As of making this video right now, we don't support the P1, but we will in the future. Whether or not we ever support the dual VAT system that they have is up in the air right now. We'll see on that one. But this turned out fantastic. Again, look at the smooth surfaces. Nothing indicating that that golf ball texture is actually being imprinted, which is very surprising. Same with this guy, really nice and smooth. This hammer right here in his hand is like, it's very, very small. I'd say I could probably put 1, 2, 3, 4 of them on my pinky nail, fit them comfortably with some room to spare. It's very, very small, so the texture in there, it's actually really good. Just more pictures of the same individuals. Same thing, look at that cloak. No texture, nothing on it. Very, very pretty. I think it did great, ultimately. This is a really good printer, and I'm quite impressed with the results so far. But anyway, I'm going to do a full review later with more resins and more pictures. And there's one more thing before I let you go. That dual VAT system that I use to print all this stuff doesn't actually have a built-in VAT heater. You have to use the one that comes with the printer, the big one, to get the VAT heater. Where I print is about 22 degrees Celsius, a little colder than I like. And so my results aren't as good as they can be when I'm going to do the full review and I use the large VAT heater and I'm printing it between 24 and 28 degrees Celsius. I'm definitely going to get some slightly better results by doing that. But anyways, if you like this video, again, make sure to like and subscribe to the Lychee YouTube channel. Join us over on the Lychee Slicer Discord. And as always, thank you for watching and have yourself a fantastic day.